How's it going, everybody? This is OK-State56 with Big Country Gaming, and today's a big day. We get to go over the new Arlox-OKST56 Tool Suite. This just started as like a personal project for me. I got so tired of the amount of time that I was investing in the transfer portal, the schedule generator, the conference realignment tool, the playoff tool, the conference championship tool, the dynasty tracker, all of those CSV imports and the exporting. I mean, man, it just felt like it was taking forever. I would spend hours and hours, and some of that was fun. Some of it was fun for a little while, but then other times I just wanted to play the game, and look cool stats up on the dynasty tracker instead of spending all this time physically doing it. And so the idea just came to me one day to, hey, I want to turn the conference realignment tool and the schedule generator into an actual desktop app. If I'm going to do that, I might as well create my own DB editor, in which you guys have seen that first beta version that I released. And then I got thinking more and more, and I'm like, man, I really feel like if I take my time with this, that we could end up just having an entire tool suite where everything can be as automated as possible. And then we've got everything together. We've got a really cool dynasty hub of some sort. And I guess in one way it is sort of like the official CFBR dynasty tool that they released several years ago, but I think this is going to go way deeper. This is going to go way further, a lot more in depth. I think it will be way more user friendly. I think that people will enjoy um, the ability to basically have your whole dynasty right there in front of you and view all the things that you want to view. So we're gonna get through all of it today, and obviously this is just version one. We've got several tools that we haven't implemented yet, and so you'll just have to be patient with that. And hopefully this will give people some time to run through specifically the schedule generator, the conference realignment tool, and the transfer portal. This will give them a chance to run through all those tools and give us some feedback, give Arlock some feedback, so that we can make any kind of adjustments that we need to, and with the future releases. And then I've shared the roadmap on the CFBR Discord for the tool. There's likely to be about 14 versions, 14 different releases. It's possible that if things go quickly, that some of those versions will be condensed. I'm already thinking that there's potential for the playoff tool and the conference championship tool will just be merged as one version. Initially, I had planned on doing a version 2 and 3 with each of those being separate, but they could potentially just end up being merged. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So you'll download the app from GitHub. I will share that link on CFBR, and hopefully that will just continue to be our place that we get updates in the future. Once you have downloaded it, you'll need to unzip it, and once you unzip it, it's going to look just like this, and you'll just click on this exe right here, open it right up, and it may take a second. This app does have a lot of data. It has a lot of tools in it already. It's definitely something that takes some power to run. Sometimes it's a little slow, and by a little slow, I'm just saying 5 or 10 seconds. I'm not talking about minutes. I think there's maybe some room for improvement to clean it up, but I think right now, just with some of the load times on the first like when it first starts up and stuff. I think that's maybe about as good as we're going to get. So we'll see if I can make some improvements in the future. To get started, so the first big thing is you've got this settings gear down on the bottom left-hand corner, and right now it's pretty bare bones in the just in the main app here. You're going to want to select your mod. As a default, College Football Revamped is going to stay the same. Or I'm sorry, this is the default option. If you want to play the vanilla game, from right now there's no difference between these two options. I just wanted to give, if in the future that we have something that requires there to be a different option for a setting standpoint, I went ahead and included it. I know that there are some FCS mods that aren't finished, but there's plenty of people out there that want to make FCS mods. So if you want to do that in the future, this is going to be an option that will allow you to change the playoff and different things. So it makes it more of an FCS. We've got several high school mods. The Texas high school football mod, the Oklahoma high school football mod is not on here specifically, but I could add that if he were to come to me and say, or if enough people were to say that hey, we need this. So for right now, we're just putting that under other high school football mod. I've not released my Missouri high school football mod. It's nowhere near finished. I've been working on this tool for the last 4 to 6 months. So eventually I would like to release that. And then if there's any other mod and you want to try to utilize this tool, you can. You just select other. So we're going to leave it at College Football Revamped for right now. So you've got your home button here. You can go to open the Dynasty Hub. And you've got several different things there. And then you've also got your navigation menu over here on the left. That'll help. So this is our utilities toolbox. Right now, obviously, we've got DB Editor, Arlox Transfer Portal, the conference realignment tool, and the schedule generator. We will add more to these as it makes sense. The whole purpose of this is to allow anyone that wants to edit their dynasty without necessarily going into the Dynasty Hub and getting into the nitty-gritty and really deep into it. This is a much quicker option for those things. And then obviously the DB editor is something you can use at any time for anything. I'll go ahead and show you guys that. So you can browse. And the neat thing about this, I went ahead and showed an example file path of where it's likely to be stored at. So here's just an example of one of my dynasties. And it loads it up. And so I think right now my computer's a little bogged down. I've got 3 monitors. I've got this recording, so it's running maybe a little slower than I would expect. But if you notice, there are many yellow tabs. That means that there's a definition for that tab. So, for example, this is Team ID, TGID, SEER is season year. So if you click on the Team tab, you'll notice it loads fairly quickly. Again, 5.85 seconds is not lightning quick, but I do think some of that is the fact that I've got 3 monitors going and I'm recording this and some other apps open. So, but as you can see, team name, long name, all of those things. If it's yellow, that means that we have a definition. If you don't, if you know something like if you know what TMCC actually stands for and you wanted to add that to your definition, what you'll do is you'll come in here, go to internal, and I believe modules, DB editor, and you'll see this definitions file right here. And just put whatever the abbreviation is, and then type in just like the same formatting, save it, and then it will actually pop up right on here. It'll be yellow, and you can view it. The other big thing, the player tab is the biggest one. It does take a little while to load. I think the longest I've seen it load is about 10 seconds. So that right there was 6 seconds. And it's got the most data. So if this thing's only taking 6 seconds, like I like to think that's pretty good. You can come up here, you can save, you can load a different definition file if you want to. If you needed to refresh for whatever reason, you can refresh, and then you can export this current table or export all of the tables. If you do that, just keep in mind, you'll get a warning. It'll tell you essentially like, you know, well, I'll go ahead and do it real quick. Typically it will say like this is a very large file that is going to be exported, and it'll tell you, hey, this may take a minute. Obviously that only took about 5-10 seconds. So moving on, we're going to go to the Dynasty Hub. Again, you can get there by just clicking here at the main menu. And right now we have no folders, but you will have a folder where it will basically store wherever it has opened your Dynasty from. So there's two things to keep in mind. If you open it directly from RPCS3, just keep in mind that if you move that folder, the Dynasty file, if you were to move that Dynasty file to a different location, keep in mind that you've got to overwrite those changes. So it will save wherever you've stored the actual file it's opening. So it's possible to get your files mixed up from the standpoint of, if I've got an Oklahoma State Dynasty that's saved on RPCS3, and then I open it, and then I copy that file to my desktop, I open it from the desktop. When you make changes, it's only going to make changes to that desktop file. You've got to make sure that you copy those changes over to the one that's actually in the RPCS3 folder. At that point, if you were to open it directly from the RPCS3 folder, it's going to work just fine. You just got to make sure that, anytime that you're keeping multiple copies, that you're just working with the right one. So I'm going to come in here. We'll just go ahead and load my actual Dynasty. So right here, it's going to prompt you to create a new Dynasty folder. So we'll click that. And some of this may be running a little slow just because I haven't ran this yet at all. So I'm just going to name it my test Dynasty just so you guys can see it. Create. You may see it pop up right here, or you might not. There we go. Yeah, I think a lot of this is just I've literally not ran this app yet, and so you guys are seeing this at like the first startup speed, whereas if I go back and I just click here, I would anticipate it's probably going to load quicker. Well, maybe not. My screen is doing some stuff. It's showing that it's loading. So obviously the startup on the Dynasty Hub is taking a minute. But anyway, so at this stage right now, we've got checklist items for things that we have planned in the future. You can see your your coach's dashboard essentially right here, and what your settings are for the game. You can see their job security. This is just a fun little thing that I created to allow people to be a little bit more immersive in their dynasty. If you have multiple user coaches, you will see them listed here, and this will switch over. Um, Again, the navigation menu expands so you can see what all of these things are. Here's the DB editor. You don't even have to load anything up. It automatically loads your dynasty right up. Dynasty Central right now is there's not much on there. It is really only going to hold your actual dynasty schedule. And so let's see if we can get this to, there we go. One thing, give me some feedback on how this is organized. The default is for it to to auto resize. Right now, for some reason, it's too, so it's two across, and typically it should be four across when you get into a larger screen. We'll see if maximizing it maybe resets it. So right now with three across, I would say it's probably going to reset on me and go to four. There we go. So it'll go to four. But you can see I've played. I'm already in like week 5 or 6 of this dynasty, so you can see the results. Currently, if you click on one, there's we haven't gotten to all of this stuff just yet. But you can see the final score. You can see what time of the day, what day, if it was a conference game or not, and then you can go back to the schedule. You can, excuse me, you can filter all of by conference, by team. So if you were to select the American, it's going to update, and then it only shows the American teams over here. You can select any week, and then we also have a table view, and this I think is just nice to be able to see it very, very quickly. The other one is I think visually pretty nice, and you can see all the final stamps. Um, so weekly tools in the future. This will be. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys this. So Dynasty Central at some point. This is going to be where we're going to have headlines. This is where we're going to have all of our rosters, depth charts, conference standings, stats. All of that stuff will be kept here. We're just not there yet. We'll keep working on that. That's going to be basically probably part of version 2. Version 2 will heavily be this and the playoff tool, and then depending on how long that takes, we will go ahead and implement the conference championship tool. If we feel like we need to just go ahead and get that version 2 release out and then work on the conference championship tool, then we'll do that. But that will be where you find a lot of this stuff. Weekly tools, so this will be the sports book once we get that going, recruiting once we figure out a system for that. It's possible that Arlox will somehow incorporate that into his transfer portal app, instead of having a standalone recruiting app that is built into the actual app, the Tool Suite app. So you can read through some of this. Most of it just says coming soon. Eventually, we'll get Jedi Mind Flips event generator in here as well. Postseason tools, just like what we just discussed. This will be where the conference championship and playoff tools live. Off-season tools. This one is one of the biggest parts. At some point, again, we are planning to try to get NIL strategy involved. Potentially some like booster type things, interactions, um, and ways that we can raise NIL and different things like that. So if people want to utilize it, great. If they don't have to. We'll probably try to figure out a way where we can turn that off and on. Coach Carousel, we definitely plan to do that, and that will probably have a tie-in into NIL at some point. And then the really important stuff for right now, the transfer portal, the conference realignment tool, and then the schedule generator. Um, so again, you can expand the menu and you can see what you're clicking on. So let's do the conference generator first. So again, you don't have to do anything as far as loading the dynasty again because it is doing that automatically. Um, it's already taking all of the table data that it needs. This is my current setup for this dynasty right now. You can see it's a pretty standard setup. Pac-12 teams, Mountain West teams are all there. All the Big 12 teams. Very quickly, I'll run through this. If you wanted to, let's say you weren't sure what conference a school was in, what you would do is type in UTSA, and now you can see UTSA is in the American. So just come back and delete that. If you wanted to sort by all conferences, that would include the FCS conferences, or if you just want to get more specific for whatever reason, you've got your choices there. Within each conference, you are able to click an add team. You can delete a division, and I also have settings up here. This is where I would go to add a division. So if you wanted to do a 16-plus team with 4 pods instead, you could come up here, type your division, and then it'll have your 3rd division. Come back in here, type your 4th division, and then that will happen. The really cool thing about this is all drag and drop. It is a little slow. Like I said, we're still trying to kind of figure some of that out. But it works well. To scroll up and down, you need to hold the team at the very top and the very bottom of the screen. Otherwise, it won't. You cannot scroll using like a mouse scroll wheel or anything like that. So you've got that. And then if you wanted to, you could export this setup, and then you would be able to import it to a different dynasty if you wanted to. And then, of course, if, let's just do this just for the heck of it. You get pending changes here. You can always reset. And then the validate button was more there for in the early stages of when I first started making this tool. Don't really need it as much anymore, but it's still there if you need it. And then once you're done, you just click apply changes and it will auto save to your dynasty. So next is the schedule generator, and this one I'm really proud of. It took a long time to get set up correctly, but I think we've got it very dynamic, and I think it's going to be really fun for a lot of people. I did just realize this is still loading. It's going to take a while to load. There is a map view, and it just allows you to actually view all of the teams in your conference. It allows you to view all of the teams in your conference in a map, and it's not really interactive right now. But so this is the ACC. Again, not super interactive right now. Obviously, this isn't going to work for It's gonna if we did the Missouri high school football mod, it's gonna show all the teams in Missouri. If you do the Euro mod, it's not gonna show any of them on here. I haven't tried that yet. Eventually, I would like to get to the point where this could be a map of the world or a map of Europe or something like that, where depending on the mod you're using, we can change this. But for now, it's going to do, I think, a world of good for a lot of people. So back to the schedule generator. Just waiting on it to load. All right. So right now you can see there's no games generated within the memory. This is year 15 of my dynasty, 2028. We're targeting 12 games for each team. This is 131 teams loaded. Come up here to settings. If you have done your, if you had chosen the correct mod, this number total games per team will update appropriately. For me, for the Missouri high school football mod, they play 9 games, so you'll get 9. If you choose any other high school mod, it will automatically go to 10. This is also set up to so that you have every conference has the appropriate games chosen, and if you want it to be exactly how it's set up in real life for a specific conference, don't touch this. This will mess all of that up. It will do as much of it as it can for you. You also have protected rivals if you want to. Again, don't touch this if you don't want to mess it up. The SEC is the only one that actually has protected rivals. I put all of them in. These are the exact ones from real life. Non-conference rules. This is essentially any of the kickoff classics. I put all of those in there. It should work. Let me know if it doesn't. We'll get it figured out from there. To add a stadium, you can come in here, select it, and then go from there. Looks like my first hotfix is going to be deleting stadiums because you can't delete it once you do it, but I'm just not going to save it. I'm going to cancel it, and then it won't be there anymore. Then the rivalry CSV. If you have certain rivalries, you can always use the default, which is based off of the one I made. But if you want to edit that and make new rivalries, then you can. It's very easy to do. Just use the format in there. If you want to have a high school mod or the Euro mod, whatever, there's another one of those, or you can make another one of those, and then just point it to that. I made this Missouri high school football mod as a trial, and it works. So you would follow this, go to assets, so internal assets, rivalries, and then you can make another copy of it, name it something else, and change it as much as you want, and point this file path somewhere else. So once you've done all of that, you've got a few different options here. Generate your schedule. And down at the bottom right, you'll see it's showing that it's loading. It takes some time. This does, all of these things are running significantly slower than when I tested it within my developer environment. So I may look into figuring out a way to make some of this go a little faster. But as you can see, every team has 12 games except for the FCS and FBS generic teams. I tried to get most of the rivalry games out here in week 14, which is actually week 15. But to keep things very simple, week 0 is that number because when you store it in the DB, it's visually it says week 1 on the game. But from a data standpoint, is stored as 0. So I went ahead and kept it that way just to not confuse anyone. Let's say you want to regenerate the non-conference schedule. You can do that. Just select that and then hit regenerate schedule. You can refresh the data. And then finally, when you're done, write schedule to DB. Before that, if you wanted to, you can come in here and look at the home and away diagnostics. So -2 means that this team, the worst in the game is looks like the worst is probably Minnesota. Minnesota does have a +4, which would be 8 home and 8 and 4 away. I don't hate it if that means that just like all of their non-conference games are basically home games. It's not ideal, but for 126 teams, everybody else is within 2, which means they have 5 home, 7 away, or they have 7 home, 5 away. And then obviously you've got the FCS teams. They're all in a negative differential. So you can go through here. You can, you can go by week if you want to. You can tell whether it's a conference game. You can sort by the conference itself. So all teams, conference games only for week 2, and that's all the games. So, like we said, Minnesota is the team that has 8 home games. So you come in here and we can look at what we've got going on. So they've got FCS South. So this is the non-conference, 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 non-conference. So all 4 of their non-conference games are home games. So if we really wanted to even things out a little bit, what we could do is come in here and just flip this on like Oregon State, give Oregon State an extra home game. Minnesota would just flip it. We keep it. It auto changes the stadium for you. If you wanted to change game times, this is all in military time to keep things simple. It is based off of Eastern Standard Time. You can type in here or you can select the drop down that gives you some options that are more just basic options. But if you want a really specific time, if you want, let's say 5:27. So we're going to kick off at 17:27. Hit enter. And there you go. It updates. And so now they're going to kick off at exactly 5:27 p.m. And then if you wanted to ever like actually delete a game, you'll get a warning. It'll explain the situation, delete anyway or back out. You can also come in here. This would be an easy one. Come in here and let's say you just absolutely want to play Arkansas State. One option is to come in here. It says it found a solution, which is essentially switching FCS East with Iowa. Iowa's probably who Arkansas State plays that game or that week. So make change it anyway, accept the solution, or back out. This option is for when there's no solution found. You can make the change anyway if you want to. I don't think that it would be wise to do that, but there may be a situation where you do. You may mess up your save. Lastly, if you come up here and let's say I want to play Arkansas State no matter what, you can select a preferred week or you can leave it at auto. Preview solution. It's saying week 0, we're going to play Arkansas State, and they're going to pair Louisiana Monroe with Purdue instead. Yes or no? So pretty simple stuff. This yellow means rivalry game. And then a lock means that it is a conference game. So, and the blue means it's a conference game. I used yellow as a rivalry game, so obviously you can see those things on there very easily. If for some reason, so let's do this, we're going to cancel this game delete anyway. So let's say we didn't want to play FCS week 7. We can delete that. And now let's say we want to play a different team in week 13 instead. Since everybody's full, I'm just to show you guys. So FCS. So we scheduled that, accept, and then it's gonna auto-populate Minnesota right there in the home. Just takes a second. There you go, and then it auto-populates. It's not gonna have a game time. The default's 12 o'clock kickoff, so you'll go in and change that if you want to. Then when you're done, you come back to this guy, write schedule to DB. All of that's pretty simple. So lastly, here's the Arlox transfer portal. Essentially, you're going to launch this guy, and real quick before we get to that, just so I don't forget, if you perchance were doing a high school mod and you accidentally left your mod profile as college football revamped on the main menu, you can come in here and you can select the correct one. To get it to load, I believe you need to back out of the Dynasty Hub and reload your Dynasty. If you have different logos, which I do for my Missouri High School Football mod, come in here, you can select that. I've included those for now, but if you like playing the Texas High School mod, you can just create a new folder, point them at that. I haven't created new conference logos, but I have it set up the same way. Just come in here, create a new folder, and then point your file path at that. Make sure you hit the Save Logos button. Okay, so now, for real, we're going to do the Arlox Transfer Portal. This is going to automatically export the CSVs required for the Arlox Transfer Portal. You can see that it's doing that right now. It's storing it in and you can actually see how this is trying to load right here. It's loading every single one of those. So keep this in mind. So you're going to go to internal, you're going to go to data, transfer portal, CSV, Arlox, Dynasty Hub. There will be a Dynasty Hub option, and there will be a toolbox option. That way, if you had a different Dynasty that you wanted to edit just inside of the toolbox, we've got it. You've got both options. So hit OK. And I imagine this, as slow as everything else has been, this is probably going to be one of the slower things to do. It basically looks like it's closing down, and then you'll get Arlox's window to pull up. So it pulls up. Whoops. There we go. And now you're just going to come up here, and you're going to go to internal. Whoops. Make sure you go to the Tool Suite. Go to internal, then data, then transfer portal, CSV, and then here, point it there, and then now advance to the next stage. And of course, we're going to do Oklahoma State. All right. And so you can mess with, I'm not going to do a tutorial on his. He's got plenty of information out there. Advance to your next stage. Keep going. Once you are finished, once it's totally done, you're just going to come up here and exit. So press X. It'll exit, and then it's gonna come in here, and it's gonna re-import all of those CSVs. Let me know. Make sure that it works correctly. If you guys are having issues with it, I will try to get a fix out for that as quick as I can. But it should just auto import, and that's kind of how we're gonna get all of these tools to work. Is, a lot of it's on Google Sheets. I'm gonna try to take some of those and convert it to Python and make my own tools, and then if anybody has a tool that they end up writing into an actual app that we can incorporate, then we'll try to utilize some of the same code that allows us to auto export and then import. Um, as right now, all of this stuff is working. So again, just let me know and we'll make some adjustments. The last piece of this is the edit tools. We can't use these just yet. I haven't gotten to them yet, but the idea would be that instead of having to go directly to the DB editor and not knowing what all the definitions are and looking up all this stuff, I'm just gonna have a lot of like, okay, drop down boxes. I want to change this person's gear. Like here's the player name. That's the player I'm looking for. Now over here, I'm going to change their helmet, and so that would be pretty easy. Edit the team, same thing. If we want to edit their team name or what have you, a lot of those things are pretty easy to do in the DB editor, but it's also really a lot easier to do if it's just all right here with drop down boxes or type boxes that, tell you exactly what stuff is. So that's all I've got so far. I hope you guys enjoy it. And I really hope you guys have fun. Let me know what the positives are. Let me know what the negatives are. We appreciate the feedback. Make sure that you go to the CFBR Discord. Make sure that you utilize the specific thread for this tool and ask any questions and send them my way. Thanks, guys.